most men sabotage themselves before they even get a real chance. They don't lose because they lack looks, money, or potential, they lose because they suffocate her with too much attention. They confuse effort with desperation and believe that if they flood her with constant texts, calls, and pursuit, she'll see their value. But the truth is, nothing destroys attraction faster than overavailability. Women aren't pulled in by men who orbit them like satellites, always ready at their beck and call. They're drawn to men who move with calmness, discipline, and mystery. And mystery dies the second you're predictable. Every message you send without restraint, every time you check in when she hasn't reached out, you chip away at the tension that attraction needs to survive. That's why sometimes the strongest move isn't action at all, it's restraint. Silence becomes louder than words, absence becomes more magnetic than presence. A woman can't chase a man who's already chasing her, but she can't help but wonder about the man who doesn't. When you're always available, you erase the distance she needs to miss you. When you're constantly reaching, you rob her of the space to invest back. A man with a mission, a purpose, a full life outside of her becomes irresistible because he proves he's not dependent on her attention for his worth. He doesn't revolve around her world, she has to step into his. And when she sees that you're not glued to your phone, not waiting for her every move, she begins to feel your value. She realizes she's not the center of your universe, and paradoxically, that makes her want to be. The less you chase, the more space you give her to lean in. That's the foundation of winning before the game even begins. Silence is not neglect, it's control. It's the ability to hold yourself back when every part of you wants to reach out. Most men confuse discipline with disinterest, but they're not the same. When you stop texting her all day, when you resist the urge to call just to fill the silence, you're not rejecting her, you're creating the space that fuels attraction. Think about it, when you give her constant reassurance, she has nothing to wonder about. She knows where you stand, she knows you'll always be there, and she knows you're waiting on her. That certainty feels good for her ego, but it kills her desire. Desire lives in the unknown. It grows in curiosity. It thrives when she's unsure if she has all of you yet. Every unanswered text, every pause before you respond, every day you don't flood her with your attention, it all makes her mind work overtime. She replays the last things you said. She asks herself why you haven't called. She scrolls through your social media looking for clues. That emotional space is the hook. Weak men can't stand silence because silence makes them uncomfortable. They need constant feedback to feel secure. But strong men don't need that. They're comfortable letting her wonder because they know their value doesn't come from her validation. That's the difference between chasing and leading. The man who chases proves he has nothing better to do, no mission, no direction. The man who leads doesn't need to speak constantly, his presence is already felt, even in his silence. And women can sense the difference immediately. The less you give, the more she imagines. And what she imagines will always be more powerful than what you could ever explain through endless words. That's why silence is strategy, not weakness. Chasing kills respect, and once respect is gone, attraction quickly follows. At first, a woman might enjoy being pursued. She might smile when her phone lights up every hour with your name, or when you're always available to talk. But deep down, something starts to shift. She doesn't respect the man who won't stop chasing because it signals that his time, energy, and attention aren't valuable. It shows her he has nothing better to do than orbit around her, and that destroys the polarity that makes her feel drawn in. A relationship can't survive when one person is the prize and the other is the beggar. The more you pursue, the more she feels she doesn't have to. And when she doesn't have to invest, she doesn't feel attached. Human psychology is simple. We value what we work for and we take for granted what's handed to us. That's why pulling back flips the script. When you stop chasing, you force her to make a choice. She can either step forward and put in effort, or she can drift away. If she steps forward, she begins to value you more because she invested in the interaction. If she drifts, you've just saved yourself wasted time. Either way, you win. Scarcity creates value, and when your attention becomes scarce, she feels the weight of every word you do say, every call you do make. That's when her desire grows. The more she invests, the more connected she becomes. And once she's invested, leaving becomes harder for her. Respect is built through restraint, not through chasing. The man who holds his ground and makes her come to him isn't cold, he's powerful. And women always respect the man who refuses to beg. Silence reveals the truth in ways words never can. When you stop chasing, you quickly see which women were truly interested in you and which were only there for the attention you provided. The moment you step back, some will vanish, and that's not a loss, it's clarity. They weren't invested in you as a man, only in the dopamine rush of being pursued. Your silence is a filter, stripping away the ones who waste your time and exposing the ones who actually value your presence. This is where most men fail because they can't handle the idea of losing anyone. They think that if a woman pulls away after they stop chasing, it means they did something wrong. But in reality, her disappearance proves she was never really yours to begin with. And isn't that better to know early? Silence protects you from pouring energy into someone who was never going to reciprocate. The women who stay, the ones who reach out, initiate, or show effort when you don't, are the ones who matter. They reveal themselves through action, not words. You don't have to ask, does she like me, or where do I stand? Her effort becomes the answer. That's the power of discipline, it gives you truth without the need for endless guessing games. Men who chase live in confusion, always questioning her feelings. Men who stay silent live in clarity because they let her behavior speak. When you stop flooding her with attention, you shift the weight onto her. And if she values you, she will carry it. If she doesn't, she'll walk away, and that's your freedom. Silence is not just about attraction, it's about discovering who's real and who never was. Silence doesn't make her forget you, it makes her think about you more. Every unanswered message, every call you didn't make, every hour you chose to focus on your own mission instead of running after her creates a space she can't ignore. And the mind hates empty space. She will fill it with questions, with memories, with curiosity. She will replay your last words, wonder what you're doing, and try to figure out if you're pulling away or simply too focused to reach out. That silence magnifies you in her imagination. You don't disappear, you grow. But when you're always available, always flooding her with words and attention, she never gets the chance to miss you. And without missing you, she cannot desire you. Desire is born in longing, and longing only exists in space. Women don't fall deeply for the man who never leaves room for imagination. They may enjoy the comfort, but comfort kills attraction. When you resist the urge to chase, you create that longing. You give her the gift of missing you. And when she misses you, she starts to crave you. That craving builds more desire than any gift, compliment, or text ever could. The man who understands this doesn't rush to close every gap. He allows silence to do the work words never can. And this restraint doesn't make him cold, it makes him magnetic. Ordinary men panic in silence. They break discipline and rush back in. Extraordinary men trust the silence, knowing it's not a loss but a tool. That calm, that patience, that self-control is rare. And rare is what women chase. In the end, silence is what transforms you from the man who pursues into the man who is pursued. Silence is more than a tactic with women, it's a way of life. Once you learn to hold back instead of chasing, you realize the same discipline applies everywhere. You stop chasing validation at work, you stop chasing approval from friends, and you stop filling your life with distractions just to avoid being alone. You start moving only with intention. That shift changes everything about your energy. Women feel it immediately. They can sense when a man is centered, when he's not begging for their time or attention, when he doesn't need them to complete him. That's the kind of man they respect and gravitate toward, not the one who collapses into action out of fear. Silence becomes your frame. It communicates strength without saying a word. When you don't text first, you're not being passive, you're showing that your life is already full. When you don't call constantly, you're not playing games, you're proving that you value your time. When you don't chase, you're not withholding love, you're showing that love must be mutual, not one-sided. This mindset separates men who play games from men who lead lives of purpose. Boys use silence to manipulate. Men live it naturally because they're busy building something greater than attention. And that's why it works. Women may never admit it, but they crave the presence of a man who doesn't fold under pressure, who holds his frame no matter what. That kind of calm is magnetic because it's so rare. Ordinary men panic, extraordinary men wait. Ordinary men beg, extraordinary men let her invest. Silence proves you are the prize, and a prize is never won through begging, it's earned. Stand firm, stay disciplined, and let her world move around yours. That's how you truly win.